Hello, my dear gardeners. Last time when I asked you a question, do you want to do the weekly updates, what's blooming in the garden? You overwhelmingly said yes, which is very lovely. And also you said that you want more close-ups. So today let's look what's blooming in the garden. Isn't this a delightful picture? This is the beginning of June and it's a paradise in the garden right now. All my roses are blooming, and this one is Roald Dahl rose. The history with this rose is I planted it 5 different shrubs here on this little spot. I know it's kind of small. I planted it 2 years ago. And because we have big maples right here growing in front of my garden, this is the front side of the garden. These are my neighbors and they are running sprinklers. I hope they are not going to get me those sprinklers. So the sun was here well, our maple trees were not really mature, and you know, me hoping for the best, roses love sun, I decided to plant this Roald Dahl. 5 different shrubs, fairly together, for them just to have this big, magnificent spill of foliage and flowers. This spring, my Roald Dahl suffered severe dieback, unfortunately. So I had to cut a lot of stems back, and because this area was somewhat shaded, last year Roald Dahl was also struggling with black spot. So what I did this year, I trimmed my maple tree here, so we do get sun here, but still when the sun comes from the east, which is just at the back right there, all the roses are turning their heads towards the sun. They don't want to look at the sidewalk where majority of people are passing by, and they are looking at this beautiful Roald Dahl. So what can you do? People can stand there, or I can stand there and say, oh, my beautiful rose, look at me. But my roses don't want to look at me. They want to look at the sun. So that's 5 Roald Dahls. They are, you know what, I just have to get myself accustomed to the fact that my Roald Dahls are not going to mature very quickly, and maybe every year they're going to suffer dieback here. But they're living, you know, and look at beautiful blooms. Very unusual color. And a very light, pleasant scent. Now behind me, let me get out of here. These are Nepetas, Walker's Low. They're keeping the edge here very well, and they complement my Roald Dahl color very well. As for this peony, come closer, my dear cameraman. Oh, this year, it's a good peony season. My peonies have a lot of buds, and after talking to some of you, we came to the conclusion that these peonies might be mislabeled. It's not what I have on my label. You know, I don't know, maybe my label got shuffled, or generally it came mislabeled from the store. I bought it from Home Depot many years ago, and you see this flower is already getting old. But no problem, a new one, the fresh one is coming on. And then with so many beautiful fresh buds. So I have a feeling my peonies will be blooming for some time. So here in the front we have the yellowish foliage of bleeding hearts. And bleeding hearts, unfortunately, they are going into early dormancy because we have such a drought condition. And right now, I'm not sure if you can pick it up in the air because of all the fires in Canada. We have very hazy weather. And yesterday, the sun was just this orange disc because of all the smoke in the air. Today is much better, so I can be outside. But now, look at this generous gardener. Several years ago, we built this fence here, and I trained my generous gardener to... Oh, wait a second, what is here? Okay, my cameraman, you have to come here and see this. Very interesting discovery. Just look at this. What in the world is this? Now, for the beginner gardeners, if this rose is grafted rose, then sometimes the rootstock can take over. And because the rootstock is very strong, much stronger than the rose which is growing on top of it, oh my gosh, I'm going to be splashed here. the rootstock can take over, and usually in our area, Connecticut, the rootstock is Dr. Huey, the red rose. But you know what? This rose is not grafted. This rose is own root. So what's happening here? I really don't know. You know, 3 years ago, there was a grafted Ahola rose growing here, knockout rose, and maybe, but can the root system be in the ground for such a long time, for 3 years, and only now to pop up? Well, you know what? I'm going to let that rose open and see what rose it is. Very unusual. Let me know if you ever had such a situation. This is definitely own roots. They are not grafted. And this year, what's happening here, let me show you. Look at all this, these long stems reaching out, almost covering my beautiful yellow rose, which my husband gave me as a gift. And it's kind of tight here. Ooh, a nice little weed here. No, I have to cut it out. So bleeding hearts are going into dormancy. I will cut all this foliage out, and hopefully this rose will have more space to breathe. But look at these generous flowers. Ah, a generous garden is so generous with its scent. Beautiful. Look at this fellow. He is strong and he's full of future. He's screaming out, I'm the future of this rose. He's going to be trained while he's still very pileable to go on this fence. Since this fence is a little bit low, and generous garden is, mind you, 10-foot high climber. So there, this is a beautiful rose here. I'm so used to my beautiful weeping larch that I really don't pay attention to it. But today I was at a master gardening office, and people were asking me about this magnificent plant. And they were saying, oh my gosh, how old it is. I say it is almost 20 years old. On these beautiful weeping branches here, something like from Dr. Seuss. And this is Desdemona rose. With light, airy scent. She's very tall and very kind of slender. Desdemona is young in my garden, just what, 3 years old. And I'm not sure if she's so tall by nature or she's struggling here because of all the stuff going on here. These roses, I never saw the blooms of that yet. Oh, I see some aphids here. Okay, so this is Shropshire Lead, and this year David Austin discontinued this rose. And usually discontinued roses are somewhat sickish, so I have a feeling I'm going to fight black spot on this rose to no end. Come with me, let's look at another section. Climbing rose is coming a little bit over its prime time. I have to go in and cut the spent blooms a little bit better. And you know what? I almost took this rose down at some point, but I didn't because I looked at the beautiful, generous blooms. Look at her. Oh, there is a dead stem here. I never noticed it. Look at all these blooms. Oh, petals are falling off. On my hostas right here. This hosta overgrown its space here. You see how it's blocking all the entrance? All right, let's go back to the garden and show you Lady of Shalott in its the biggest bloom so far. Look at her. Just look at these blooms. And you know what? Lady of Shalott is famous for changing color very much in my garden. And some people say that in their gardens, Lady of Shalott doesn't behave like that. And of course, roses are different. So come close to my dear cameraman. Lady of Shalott in my garden begins blossoming like this. And then slowly her flowers are turning to light pinkish yellow. And then the future buds are going to have that little less of an orange in them. They're getting tired. I have to trim her already, some older blooms. But look at all the buds. Oh my gosh, this is beautiful, isn't it? She's lovely this year. And again, because the sun is there, all the blooms are facing this way, which is lovely because we have a passage through here, so I can always see my rose. Follow me. Oh no, let's turn around. Let's switch places and look at this rose. Ah, another generous gardener. Just look at the beautiful blooms. And all the petals are falling down, but generous gardener is still stretching its limbs and falling kind of under the weight of flowers. I love it. We have a very strong aroma right now here from all the generous gardener here. Again, I have to come in and kind of trim all the blossoms already. There are a lot of good qualities of generous gardener, but one maybe slight negative is that petals fall too quickly on this magnificent rose. Here, this corner in my garden is somewhat quiet. There are several roses here which are babies and they're not blooming yet, so we won't go there, but we will come here. Another generous gardener blooming here. Oh, this is my project. Look at this. Oh, I didn't do this. Okay, so this is, it's one of those crazy ideas I have in my head. So this is a support I built from treated wood. I painted it because I wanted to look like aged wood, not treated fresh wood. And this will go to the front of my garden, and I will show you later where it will go. Of course, just okay, this is not finished story. This is still in the progress, but I wanted to put macrame on it. And I went to the store trying to choose a nice color of the threads to match the construction, not to be very shiny, not to be very screamy there. So this is a progress, the project in the progress. So disregard this here. Vanessa Bell is blooming galore. Oh my gosh, she's kind of slightly unruly here. And of course, Olivia is ready to be trimmed. Maybe I should have done it already. Yeah, a lot of blossoms are already finished and spent. One more thing I want to show you. I want to show you my Queen of Sweden in the front of the house. Let's go there. Oh my gosh, did you see those birds? Look at all these beautiful Queen of Swedens here. Lovely. Let me go behind them and show you all this beauty. Queen of Sweden is famous for very stiff, upright growing habit, and David Austin states it as 3 feet wide and 5 feet tall. Well, here, because of the huge maple trees right in front of my house, these guys don't get a lot of sun here, so I wouldn't say they struggle, but they are not as wide and not as full-bodied. Okay, this nepeta here has to be moved, and at the back, this is where I'm going to put that construction from the back with macrame on it, because here we have what is this? Eden climbing rose. And the plan is, Eden is a big strong climber, so that construction would be standing here tall, and Eden would be climbing on it in some sort of a circular fashion. And look at him, oh my gosh, struggling here. Very light scent. Maybe flowers didn't open yet, that's why I don't pick up a scent from Eden. These are first blooms in the garden, and look at this, what happened here. This was a beautiful strong shoot coming nicely, and what happened? Frisbee trimmed it, and a big weed is here. So my cameraman is smiling right now here because he's the culprit. He's my oldest son, so his Frisbee kicked this little guy here, and you know what? It's not a biggie because another shoot is coming from here and I see aphid on it already. Okay, so that's where this big construction is going to be happening soon. I will keep you updated on all that project. The plan for Queen of Sweden was for them to look into the windows, because we have our living room windows here, and every time I opened the window I wanted to see my roses. And Queen of Sweden never nods the flowers. Queen of Sweden is always looking up, so I like that about this rose. But the only thing is it's somewhat shady, and I always worry that Queen of Sweden is not going to get enough sun here, but otherwise it's beautiful here. I have like 5 or 6 shrubs here occupying this area behind my row of boxwoods. So this is it. This is the blooming season in the garden, and I think roses right now are just taking the front seat. Later in the season, when the garden will be somewhat quieter, there would be more time to look at little flowers. But now, roses are the queens of the show. Well, don't you forget to put your nose into a rose today, if you have any, or just a flower. And happy gardening. We will see you in our next video.